Am I the asshole because I pay for a maid to clean the house before I come home? I work out of town and my wife stays home with our 2 teen kids. When I'm home I take care of the housework to give my wife a break. The kids are supposed to help around the house in return for me paying for their phones and stuff. My wife chooses not to enforce that while I'm gone. Our income is split thusly. We pay all our bills, including the kids' phones. We set aside money for retire, vacations, emergencies, etc. What is left over is split evenly between her and I, so we each have money for fun stuff separately. For the last 8 months or so she has made very little effort to keep the house clean while I'm gone. But she gets very upset if I just let it stay messy when I'm home. She says that the kids are too busy with extracurricular activities and their jobs to help and that she gets overwhelmed. She does not work, but kids are in high school. I bought them a car and I pay for everything except fuel. They are responsible for getting themselves to extracurriculars and whatever else they want to do. I told her that it wasn't fair for me to have to clean up 4 weeks of mess on my 2 weeks off. That she should be forcing the kids to do their part. She says it's too hard. 2 shifts ago I told the kids I was done paying for their phones and car bills. The car was paid for cash, so there isn't a loan or anything. Just insurance, registration, maintenance, that stuff. I took the money and I pay for a maid to come and clean up the day before I get home. That way I can just maintain it until I leave. My wife is mad that the kids have to pay their own bills, and that I'm cheating by paying someone else to do my chores. I'm not. I'm paying someone to do theirs. I found out she's been giving the kids money out of her share to pay their bills. She is now mad that I have money for my hobbies but she does not. I don't really care. She needs to do her part and clean up and parent. Am I the asshole? If you don't want to return to a messy home, that seems reasonable. If no one else is going to ensure that the home you return to isn't messy, it sounds like you found a workable solution. Assuming you gave your kids a heads up that their free ride was coming to an end, giving them an opportunity to step up their game, and they then didn't, your solution, to me, is creative and effective. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. In fact, it's a great solution. If the kids want the money they can clean instead, if your wife wants the money she can get them to and clean as well. Your solution gets you a clean house and keeps them able to control their part of finance and cleaning. F% carrot dollar brilliant. Not the asshole. She chooses not to do the work. She chooses not to make your kids do chores. She chooses to pay them to do nothing. It's all on her. Not the asshole. Your wife doesn't work, so what does she do all day? You have a wife problem. Not the asshole. Paying for a maid to clean is an excellent idea since your wife is unbelievably lazy. What on earth does she do all day? She also sets such a bad example to your children by doing nothing and expecting you to sort everything out. What does your wife do all day? Am I the asshole for telling my roommate to pay for her own food after she ate my meal prep? So, I'm a 24F studying economics and I've been living with my roommate Luna for about 6 months now. I've got this whole meal prep thing going on to save money and time, right? Well, last Sunday, I made these amazing chicken teriyaki bowls that were supposed to last me the week. But here's the drama. I come home to find out Luna has already eaten most of my meals. I was pretty upset, like, I spent hours on that. So, I told her she needs to start buying her own food or we should split the cost of groceries from now on. Luna got all defensive, saying she was hungry and thought it was okay since we're roommates. Now she's not talking to me, and I'm left wondering if I was too strict. Should I have just shared? Am I the asshole for setting boundaries about food? Too long did not read. Roommate ate my week's worth of meals. I told her to replace it or we set rules, and now things are awkward. Not the asshole. She should have just apologized and pulled out her wallet or ordered you some Uber Eats. The fact that she's trying to make you uncomfortable shows the way she handles conflict. 1. Get defensive. 2. Silent treatment. 3. Awkwardness to make you uncomfortable. People who fight like this need to be called out on their bullshit. Don't touch my food. Hard stop. Not the asshole from now on. You should each buy your own food, no more sharing. I don't think sharing the cost of the groceries alone will work since Luna clearly thinks it's reasonable for her to eat most of what must have obviously been a week's worth of food you made for yourself. When she is told that she ate all your lunches for an entire week, she should have apologized profusely and replaced what she ate, not sulked silently. When you start paying for your own, make sure you label all your food. You might end up having to keep it locked away in your bedroom. That happens sometimes in roommate situations. You are not her mommy and it's not your job to feed her. Not the asshole she stole your food, not only the cost of the ingredients but also all the time you put into prepping your meals. She's a grown woman who should be capable of doing her own shopping, cooking. Not the asshole. She should have at least asked beforehand. My roommate would always ask ahead if she could eat something I made and vice versa. She can't just assume everything is shared because you're roommates. Does she also expect to share a toothbrush? Lol. Not the asshole. Stop paying for her groceries. Am I the asshole for losing my marbles at my neighbors for parking across my driveway? I live next door to a business and the workers keep parking across my driveway even though it is illegal. Once someone was parked across my driveway for 3 hours and another time I was late for surgery because I couldn't get out of my house. The workers keep making noise at 4:30 a.m. and midnight even though they have noise restrictions between 5 p.m. and 7 a.m. Today when I got home I noticed someone, who has done this before, was parked across my driveway, so I simply parked behind them and walked inside. About half an hour later they came back to their car and were parked in and didn't like it. I completely lost it at them and they told me I was a mean person and the nastiest homeowner on the street. I proceeded to call the police and formally complained to their CEO. Is this a normal reaction? To note, I have been calling the local council, police, and complaining to the organization for years. I can't afford litigation. The reason the police finally came out this time is because the parker made a threat that they would come back and do something. At least it's on the record now. And not in the US, so I can't have a car towed. This needs to be ordered by the police and they are reticent to do that. Info. Why didn't you complain to the CEO in the first place? Not the asshole. Keep calling the police every time they block your driveway. Not the asshole. I'd be calling the police to have them towed every time they block the driveway. Call in noise complaints when they're making excessive noise at night. I should mention here I have been complaining for many years, but it seems in my country this is a gray area. You can't call a tow on someone parked illegally on public land even if blocking your driveway. The local council can only really police vehicles parked in designated parking spots and inspectors come out 7 days after you have lodged a complaint. The police never turn up, the company refuses to respond, so today I chose to totally lose it. The person in question threatened me and said they would come back and make you pay. So that's what finally triggered a response from police and CEO. I am somewhat jealous of everyone in the US who can call a tow and easily move to litigation. Not the asshole. Losing your marbles was basically a public service announcement. If parking across your driveway were an Olympic sport, these neighbors would take home the gold. You tried the polite route, but when your driveway becomes a parking lot, it's time to call in the big guns. At least you gave them a taste of their own medicine. Not the asshole, and I think you just found the way to deal with it. Park them in every single time you come home to them in your driveway. Then go for a walk. Also set up a camera to capture any retaliation as well as consider a motion-activated sprinkler. But way late on getting it fixed. If you're in the USA you could just have the car towed and even call the cops about the situation to inform the owners so they know to stop it. Generally that type of stuff gets the point across if telling them to stop doesn't. You're blocking them in not bad at all your driveway, not theirs. Letting their boss know is definitely not an overreaction in this case as it tells the company to back off. You're not a parking lot. Am I the asshole for telling my sister-in-law to shut it about Bridgerton because I hate it? 25 female, went wedding dress shopping a few days ago. It was a shit show. My fiancé is from a religious family and it was important for him to get married at his family's church. It's not something I always wanted for myself, but his family is helping to pay for the ceremony and this means a lot to him. The problem is that his mom insists that I get a modest wedding dress. I tried on a bunch of dresses that were modest, and I hated them. I don't like puffy sleeves. I hate looking covered up. I look like Princess Leia if she were from Alabama, not Alderaan. This is not what I wanted. It was my mom, my sister-in-law and mother-in-law and my mo at the bridal shop. They were trying to cheer me up, but I wasn't having it. My sister-in-law Peggy was the worst. She loves shows like Bridgerton. Anyone who knows me knows I can't stand that show. She kept hyping up how my dress made me look like someone from the show. After 4 or 5 dresses, I was fed and wanted to call it quits. But she wanted me to try on one more. I snapped at her. I told her to shut up about Bridgerton and I don't want to hear about that show again for the rest of the day. We ended up leaving after this. Peggy was upset and she and her mom just left. My mom is pissed at me and said what I did was not acceptable. I'm just frustrated because it feels like everyone is hijacking the whole wedding process and I don't even have a say about what I want. It's like this wedding is more about what Peggy and my mother-in-law want. Sounds like you are marrying into a controlling family. Is that what you really want? Not the asshole, but you need to slow this entire roll. Are you actually okay with getting married in this church? Is it something you're doing to make your spouse happy that you're neutral about, which is fine? Or is it something that you're doing that you actively have a problem with, which is not? Assuming you're actually okay with the venue, call the administrative staff and ask if there are any formal requirements about dress for the venue. Some traditional places might, for example, not allow bared shoulders, etc. Keeping any venue requirements in mind, pick out your own dress. If you can't afford the wedding you're having without nutty bullying by the in-laws, scale back to something you can personally afford to pay for. This is not worth it. Not the asshole, but this is a preview of your life going forward, with your in-laws running the show. House? Gotta be close enough that they can visit. Kids? Mother-in-law knows how they need to be raised. Is that what you want? Not the asshole, but it's not about Bridgerton, it's about you feeling you're not in control of the wedding and quite possibly the marriage. You need to discuss this with your and spend some time really considering what you want. You are the asshole. Your sister-in-law isn't the one hijacking things, and it's not her fault you and your fiancé don't have the backbone to stand up for yourselves. She was just trying to be positive and hype you up. You directed your anger at her for things that are not her fault. You should apologize to her directly for that. You could have told her calmly that you're not a fan of Bridgerton styles, so it's not the vibe you want to see after the first 1 or 2 times, so she would stop. Your in-laws for pressuring you to try on dresses that you don't like, and you for being rude to your sister-in-law who is genuinely trying to make things better. Elope and be done with the nonsense, or at least downsize the wedding to only very close friends and family so you can afford it on your own.